Force majeure, an extremely complicated and often misunderstood area of our business, but something that can have drastic consequences if handled wrong. Hi, I'm Richard Watts, founder of HR Maritime. Welcome back to another episode of Commodity Brief. In this, we're going to carry on our series where we're looking at the fundamentals of commodity trading, and we're going to focus in particular on force majeure. This is a complicated area of the business. Every contract is different, and it is vitally important to understand what are the causes of force majeure, what are the consequences, and what you can do to protect yourself. First of all, in terms of force majeure, it very much depends on the legal jurisdiction that you're operating in. Under English law, it is not automatically included in contracts, whereas in some law it can be. So anytime you're dealing with force majeure, make sure you take advice from a lawyer. Now, a couple of the points that I'm going to lay out here, I've taken from the BP General Terms and Conditions. This is just an example of a clause, but every clause is different. So make sure that you read the clause that affects your contract. So essentially, we're talking about force majeure. This is a situation that's beyond the controls of the parties involved. So this is something that was unforeseen, something that could not have been avoided by using a bit of foresight. Now, examples: war, riots, piracy. These are things that can happen, but we can't control them. Natural disasters. We often hear the term act of God. We also have explosions, fires of the terminals which are being operated, and also boycotts, strikes, and labour disputes. So these are really the causes that can actually activate a clause of force majeure, but often we have or similar causes being listed. So it's important to understand what the clauses are under your contract. In terms of the duties of the parties, first of all, the party which is trying to benefit from the force majeure clause, the protection of that clause, has to notify the other party in writing. And so there has to be a written notification outlining what has happened and what action is being taken. They also must use all reasonable endeavours to try and mitigate the effects of what is going on. And so they can't just sit back and say, force majeure, I'm out of control, I can't do anything. They must act themselves. And also they must provide reasonable updates to their counterparty so the counterparty knows what is going on. These are steps which must be followed very, very, very carefully. In terms of the relief, so what you can expect to benefit from force majeure, there are a couple of things. First of all, if you are completely unable to perform your obligations under your contract, then that portion of delivery of the contract can be cancelled. And certainly in the BPGTNCs, that's what it calls for. And if there is delay, then that portion of delivery can be delayed, and so then you have relief that way. There are some force majeure clauses which will call for a period of 30 days, and if at the completion of those 30 days the force majeure event has not lifted, then we can actually end up having a cancellation of the contract. So if there's a golden rule for force majeure, it is the importance of reading your contract, understanding what the clause is, and if you have a force majeure clause that you do not understand, it is important to rewrite it so that you do understand. It's not something that only lawyers should understand. So what should you do if you encounter a situation of force majeure? First thing, understand your position. Understand what is going on. Gather as much factual evidence as you can. Then look at your position in the contractual chain. Can you pass on some of these responsibilities to various counterparties? And make sure you act immediately. Any time lost will be money lost. So that brings us to the end of this episode looking at force majeure. It is a very complicated topic, and if you are ever encountered again, please seek advice of your lawyers. Otherwise, we'll be coming back with other topics, and please click back for future episodes to find out more information about commodity trading. Thank you.